Melissa de la Cruz finally released the news about her fifth Isle of the Lost novel just last month. The first Isle of the Lost novel came out in spring of 2015. I still remember how huge the release was. Dove Cameron attended with de la Cruz to read the beginning pages to the young, starry-eyed fans hoping to meet her. And 3 months later, Descendants premiered on Disney Channel. And 3 months ago, I premiered my YouTube video explaining the story of the Isle of the Lost and comparing the differences to the Descendants. This video is about de la Cruz's second installment in the series, Return to the Isle of the Lost, but it is not about Descendants 2. Return to the Isle of the Lost came out the very next year in spring 2016, and Descendants 2 came out in summer of 2017. An entire year later. There must have been a reason for that year-long gap, right? Something else must have come out, and that was Rise of the Isle of the Lost, the third installment of de la Cruz's book series. Melissa de la Cruz stated in an interview preluding the premiere of the second book that she was given creative control on which characters she wrote in the books. In that same interview, she stated that she and the creators of the movies were thinking of including Ursula's daughter in the third book. This means that plans to change the plotline of Return to the Isle of the Lost were already happening. I tried to find information on why the plotline changed, but there wasn't much to be found. But I remember, as an obsessed fan of Descendants myself, the turning points where the creators involved decided that the new characters of Return to the Isle of the Lost would be scrapped and Uma would enter in. This was probably confusing to the fans of the book, but don't think they were the only ones confused, because a couple of the new featured characters in the books were also in the animated shorts that featured on Disney Channel between the first two movies. An entire storyline was scrapped, and today we are going to be talking about that.
Mirror, mirror, what does our future hold? Show me what happens when our stories unfold. Welcome to my wicked world, wicked world.
Wicked World, the animated shorts on Disney Channel, start out with this little carnival the AKs are throwing, while the BKs are just trying to get involved. Mal and Evie want to prove that they belong at Ordon Prep after all, so do Jay and Carlos. But Ben is worried about Mal's digimage, that's digital image for those of us who don't speak Ordonian, after she accidentally explodes cupcakes that Evie baked all over Audrey. But Mal is already trying to fix it. She's been working on her newest painting, Audrey dressed as her mother, Aurora, and she's in the zone. Ben is concerned that the daughter of Maleficent painting the daughter of Sleeping Beauty as Sleeping Beauty is only going to make her digimage worse. He's also concerned about her magic usage as she teases him by spelling her painting to look even worse. Of course, somebody posts the painting, proving to Mal that she really does have a problem. But it isn't the only problem Mal has. While Evie and Audrey argue over who Mal is going to help first with their problems, Jay runs in and hands Mal a lamp. Now she has two arguing princesses and a stolen lamp to contend with. At least she doesn't have to deal with the lamp for long when a new character shows up on scene. Jordan, the daughter of Jeannie, runs in and accuses Mal of stealing her lamp and getting paint all over it. Mal tries to wipe the paint off, but she's done enough, and Jordan yanks the lamp back, walking away in a huff. With Jordan upset with her, Ben trying to fix her digimage, and the princesses still arguing, Mal only has one wish: to go back home. And so she does. In the blink of an eye, she, Ben, Evie, and Audrey are back on the Isle of the Lost. Mal is the only one happy to see home again. Ben and Audrey have never been on the Isle, and Audrey hides against Ben. For some reason, he lets her cling to him, almost as if they're still dating. Evie simply notes that she'd forgotten how bad the drainage on the Isle is. For someone who was banished to a castle her whole life, she's sure to start acting like she knows about the outside Isle life. But Evie, Audrey, and Ben are not happy about being on the Isle with no magic, no Wi-Fi, no way out. Not sure what else to do, Mal leads them into a nearby store. Ben wonders if they're closed and spots a sign that reads, "Store hours, whenever we want." Nice. The store seems to belong to Dr. Facilier, and his daughter Freddie pops out to greet them. This is one of the interesting things about Wicked World. Freddie is voiced by Ant Farms, China, and McLean, who we later know to play Uma in Descendants 2. And then when Mal wishes they could just talk to Jeannie's daughter Jordan, Freddie ends up in Jordan's lamp with them. Jordan isn't happy about just having this group of characters barging into her lamp, of course, but she makes it work by giving the girls genie-fied outfits. This isn't an Oridanian word. I made that one up. For some reason, Ben stays in his plaid jacket, striped button down, and yellow slacks that don't really make a matching outfit. And while inside the lamp, Freddie figures out she's an Oridon and sweet talks Ben into letting her stay, thus making Freddie and Jordan both regulars in the shorts of Wicked World. Yet it seems there just might be another character, as we see someone give Freddie a thumbs up from off scene. Now that Mal's big mess is over, it seems so is the carnival at Oridon Prep. The next couple of episodes are filler, with a talent show, Spirit Day, and Lonnie's concert. But it introduces a new regular in Allie, daughter of Alice, with a brief mention of Rapunzel's daughter, Ruby. It showcases Carlos's talent for speaking dogs and teasing Jay, and it adds on to the character development of Evie being talented in science, something we had seen from Carlos in the first Isle of the Lost book. Plus, we see more hints of this mystery character, who is not featured in the books. Here, the first season of Wicked World went on hiatus, and just a month before episodes resumed, the second book in Melissa de la Cruz's series premiered. Return to the Isle of the Lost features new regulars, Freddie, Jordan, and Allie, and it follows the story of Descendants more closely than even Descendants 2 did, with its sudden introduction of Uma, Mal's supposed childhood rival. Well, the book opens with Mal in the library doing homework. She's still trying so hard to be good, while Ben is beginning his kingly duties. Strange phenomena has been happening all around Oridon. The outlying kingdoms of Oridon are experiencing turbulent weather, while the students at Oridon Prep are feeling earthquakes. And in the library, Mal can't help but wonder if her mother, a lizard hidden behind an intimidating door in the library, is behind it all. She's certainly sure her mother is behind the strange text messages she receives, telling her to go back to the Isle by the new moon, signed by M. Mal's 3 friends receive similar missives. Evie's in a comment on her social media, Carlos's in an email in his inbox, and Jay, who has a black eye thanks to Chad, found his on a good old-fashioned note in his tourney gear. Ben is still meeting with Sidekicks United, the union from the first book, who just wanted better rights. Now his duties with them are much more kingly, as Merlin and Artie, son of Arthur, report mayhem in Camelot. But this is different than the strange phenomena. This seems to be a strange creature, stealing their sheep and setting fire to their fields. Merlin wants permission to use his magic against this creature. It seems no matter Mal's use of magic in both Wicked World and Descendants 2, it is all but forbidden in Oridon here, and so Ben refuses Merlin's request. He does, however, offer to go to Camelot with Merlin to see for himself the mayhem that is happening. Freddie is the only VK in Oridon right now, and she doesn't get a missive as the other 4 have. Mal and her friends are sure it's their parents that specifically want them back, but when Evie tries to check on them with her magic mirror, which it seems she hasn't turned into the museum yet, it can't find any of their parents, except for Mal's, who is still just a lizard. As you can see, there are already a few differences from the movies. Lizard Maleficent doesn't just hang out in Mal's room, Evie's mirror isn't in the museum, and Carlos is the genius. That's why he's the one to look into the mysterious notes and discover the dark web. The villain kids still on the island have managed to get on a corner of the web and bury it deep. Together, they are sharing posts about the Anti-Heroes Club, in which it looks like they are hating on Mal and her friends. They're planning a meeting on the night of the new moon, and Mal is sure their parents are behind it, and she's sure they have to go back and check things out. Ben is checking things out too. His trip to Camelot means he's missing a week of school, including a dance he promised he'd take Mal to. Mal thinks it's more important that he makes certain it isn't her mom causing the mayhem in Camelot. But what he sees one night out on expedition doesn't relieve his concerns. A giant purple dragon breathing fire upon the land. He hurries home to tell Mal just in time for the ending of the dance, but she and her friends are heading to the Isle of the Lost, and he thinks it's for the best. He plans to find out if the purple dragon really is Maleficent while she's discovering what happens on the Isle, promising one another they'd catch up when they both get back. And so the story goes. Ben and Mal go on their separate adventures to prove that Maleficent is still just a lizard. And she is. She isn't flying around Camelot eating sheep. The VK's parents aren't behind the misses to get them to the Isle. In fact, it was Freddie who sent them the misses because she's trying to be good too. The Anti-Heroes Club is just that, by the way. Villain kids who look up to Mal and the others and want goodness too. They're going to fight for it. But that doesn't make them heroes. It just makes them kids. Yen Sid, the one hero who volunteered to take care of the kids on the Isle, is leading the kids to make maps of the Isle. The underground of the Isle, that is. He's the adult supervisor of the club, and he helped create it because he believes there is something underground that the VKs need to find, that their parents are after. The magic that opened the barrier at the coronation caused the earthquakes that have created catacombs under the Isle that lead all the way to Oridon. And Yen Sid believes their parents discovered them. There's a reason Evie's mirror couldn't find them. He believes they're looking for something as well. In the first Isle of the Lost book, Mal found Maleficent's scepter for her, but Yen Sid believes she has a talisman as well, that all their parents have talismans, and that they're after them. And Yen Sid needs them to get to the talismans first. Mad Maddie knows this, of course. The daughter of Madame Mim, who used to be bosom buddies with Mal, who didn't Mal used to hang out with. Other than Evie, of course. But Maddie doesn't want to be an anti-hero, and so she's been betraying the club this entire time. She tries to lead Mal to her doom, but Evie knows not to trust her and saves Mal's life. Mal really should just stick to being best friends with Evie. So in a way, Maddie did help Mal. She found the entrance to the underground catacombs. So Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos go through the catacombs, and it's just like it was in Forsaken Fortress. Each kid has their own tests related to their parents, and while Mal's friends have to face their trials alone, Mal's test is letting her friends face her trials with her. And in the end, the kids of Maleficent, Evil Queen, Cruella de Vil, and Jafar earn their parents' talismans. The Fruit of Venom, the Ring of Envy, the Golden Cobra, and of course, the Dragon's Egg. With these treasures in hand, the VKs emerge back on Oridon in the exact place Ben's investigation has led him to. See, through the fairies of Neverland and Snow White's dwarves, Ben has discovered that the purple dragon isn't Maleficent after all. It is Mad Maddie's grandmother, Madame Mim, and Ben allows Merlin to use just a bit of magic to send her back to Oridon after the VKs confront a dragon for the second time. And when Evie checks her mirror once again, she finds their parents safely back at home. They never saw their parents in the catacombs, but they found hints of them, and they figured they were followed by them. Merlin's magic that sent Mim back to the Isle sent Evil Queen, Cruella, and Jafar back as well. Would they really let that stop them? Mal doesn't think it will, and she doesn't know what to do with the talismans now that she has them. And I guess the creators didn't either, because they were never mentioned again. The entire storyline of Return to the Isle of the Lost was never mentioned again. The storyline of Wicked World was never mentioned either. Wicked World resumed the way it ended. It didn't follow the storyline of Return to the Isle of the Lost either. It introduced the mystery Thumbs Up Hand as CJ, daughter of Captain Hook, and in the second season, Zevon, son of Yzma, was introduced. The second season even changed the voice of Freddie from China Anne McClain to her older sister, Lauren Alyssa, after China landed the role of Uma. At the end of Wicked World's run, the BKs receive yet more talismans, even though the first are never mentioned. It's their family jewels. Mal's was cursed to make her evil, but of course she had her redemption in the end, and even Audrey forgave her, something she forgets 2 movies later. Rise of the Isle of the Lost, the 3rd installment in De La Cruz's series, came out not long after Wicked World ended, and it attempted to smooth out the plotline to introduce Uma in Descendants 2. But for years, I have always wondered what could have become of that lost plotline. What could we have seen from Audrey had Sarah Jeffrey gotten to be in the 2nd movie? Could we have ever gotten redemption for the 4 original parents? I guess that's something we'll never know. Not even Ursula ever got her redemption. Unless there's a chance for her in the new Descendants coming out. After all, you didn't think Uma's story ended, did you?